Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Breaking Out, the show about North American players who are trying to make it to the top. My name is Fear Dragon, and I'm here with some exciting news. The North American scene is alive, and joined with me today is a member of the North American scene. He's from the very recently formed team Extraterrestrials, and he's trying to be that breakout Zerg player that we have been looking for. I want you guys all to welcome the very, very fantastic player, Extraterrestrials, JowJ. And JowJ, let me just ask you right off the bat, how the hell do you pronounce your name?
It's JowJ, you got it right. I've heard all kinds of variations, but JowJ is correct.
Most of those variations are probably from me. I'm pretty sure I spent an entire 10 minutes doing that during a cast before.
Yeah.
All right, but I just want to tell everyone here about the show a little bit. Breaking Out is a show about North American players. Right now, we have actually a pretty awesome scene for North American players to compete in, but we just do not have the attention that they deserve right now. So we have team leagues going on, like the UASL, previously the URTL and the OMGL, but also other leagues like the Ascension and WSS America, Challenger League and the qualifiers. All this stuff is going on, but there are so many great, fantastic GM level players that people just don't know about. So we're here to introduce the players and let you guys know a little bit more about them. So here's just a little bit of the format. Today is Monday. So you are going to be getting a little bit of an insight into the life and just a little bit of the history and, of course, the future of the players with a little bit of one-on-one camera action. As you can see, Joe sitting over there quite handsomely. And Tuesday through Thursday, we will cover each one of the 3 matchups. In JowJ's case, it's going to be ZVT, ZVP, and ZVZ. And, of course, on Friday, we're going to be wrapping up those replays with a really awesome game that JowJ's given us, and it's guaranteed to just be a sick game, a really fun and exciting one. And then, of course, on Saturday, we're going to wrap everything up with a very, very fun, kind of NASL downtime style wackiness. I am going to be completely honest, I haven't even told JowJ what's going to be involved with it. So for all he knows, I'm going to have him get on a plane, fly out here, and then try and juggle elephants in a room full of something not PG-13 appropriate. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. And JowJ, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? And I mean, where do you come from? Are you actually an extraterrestrial?
Well, thanks for the intro, man. My name is JowJ. My real name is actually Josiah. JowJ comes from my siblings when I was a kid not being able to pronounce my name, so it was just JowJ. I'm from Texas. I live in Austin, which is the best part of Texas to live in if you have to be here. And I joined Extraterrestrials really recently, actually. I was a part of kind of more social clans before this and got to play with some cool people, but only recently did I really try and get into a bunch of different team leagues and try and compete a little bit more. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. So, I mean, where exactly are you? I know that you're in North America, whether you would just want to give the country, the state, or wherever, where are you actually from?
I'm actually from Austin, Texas. I've been here my whole life. I've actually not even traveled that much. One of the things that I hope to do if I can do stuff in the pro gaming arena or in esports at all is to travel a lot more. I've been barely out of the country. I've been across the border to Mexico, and I've been to a couple of states, but I'd really like to travel.
Awesome. So I know that you actually, so Austin, Texas, I'm curious, have you actually gotten involved with any of the TESPA stuff that's been going on?
Yeah, actually, I haven't had a chance to volunteer because I'm not a UT student, and I know it's a little bit more difficult for me to get involved if I'm not a UT student. I need to actually plan and email and make sure I don't miss deadlines and shit instead of just showing up for a general meeting and being like, yeah, I'll do that. But I went to both Lone Star Clashes. I got to meet some great people there. I met Polt there, and Polt is fucking awesome. I've been to the IPL South by Southwest show match between Polt and Hyun. That was also kick-ass. And I've been to the Mothership ATX. It's one of Austin's local LAN shops. They've had some tournaments, and they do some GSL final viewing kind of things, and I've been to some of those. But yeah, it's a pretty cool scene.
All right, awesome. So, I mean, all that aside, what do you actually do for a living? Are you a student? Are you working full time? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, okay. So I work full time. I am a server tech for a software as a service company. So I, it's really not a terribly exciting job. I do stuff with computers.
Fair enough. And I mean, what exactly got you into StarCraft then? Or just naturally computer job? You were just like, well, I need something to do at work other than work, so started playing StarCraft, or what?
Actually, I'm one of I come from a big family, and both of my brothers played StarCraft. We all played Brood War together at like LAN parties and stuff, but they all got into StarCraft 2 way before me. I joined like a year late. I did not want to buy the fucking game because there was no LAN, and I thought that that was lame, and I hated that games were moving that direction and change. But I got sick for like 2 weeks. It was awful. I couldn't go to work. Couldn't do anything. And I bought like 2 games. I bought StarCraft 2 and I think like something else. I can't remember. Some Steam game. And I played the shit out of StarCraft 2, and I've kind of been here ever since.
Awesome. So, was StarCraft 2 your kind of introduction into esports then, or did you kind of start with something else first?
StarCraft 2 is definitely my introduction to esports. I guess I played WoW before, and I played WoW Arena with a couple of really cool guys, kind of local to me, really, but I'd never met them in real life. And I played and competed at a mediocre level, I guess, like 2200 rating. And I knew that like esports was a thing because they would broadcast at MLG and the BlizzCon and shit like that. But I never, like, it didn't mean anything to me, I guess, until StarCraft.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was that way for a lot of people, of course. And I'm actually just kind of curious a little bit about your family. Do you have any like siblings or anything? And could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. I am one of 5 children. And I'm the second youngest. So I'm 22 years old, and my youngest brother is recently 20. And we lived in South Austin, which is a nice suburb, basically. We grew up, and we had adopted several people, we fostered several people. So my family household was usually 9+ at any given moment. And it was a lot of fun. I loved growing up with that many people. It was a good time.
Cool. Did your brother actually play any StarCraft or anything, or does he?
Well, they both did. Neither one of them, like, after a while, I practiced and with the intention of getting better, and they just kind of dicked around and had fun at LAN parties. And after a while, neither of them would play with me, and then they just kind of stopped playing after we all got a little bit older and stopped doing LAN parties and hanging out with friends like every other night or whatever, and had to like do shit for our real lives. So mostly now they do other stuff. One of my brothers is a system admin for a startup here, and my other brother is actually in the UTeach program at UT, and plays Magic the Gathering in his spare time. He's a cool guy.
That game is scary, man. That game is scary addictive.
It is. It's an intense game too. Like the people, like, I didn't know that there were World Series and shit like that for it until recently. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's pretty awesome. But actually, kind of shifting back over to, say, your parents, do your parents know at all about your involvement, kind of joining these like semi-pro teams, trying to rise up, playing in WCS America qualifiers when you can and whatnot?
I mean, they know that I care a lot about it. They don't really approve about it. They approve of my job, and they're proud of me for that, right? But I told them that this means a lot to me when I still saw them and still lived with them, actually. But it doesn't really mean anything to them other than that they know that I'm happy, and so I guess they approve of that.
Cool. And gonna kind of shift direction a little bit over here, but once you're kind of moving away from the family and everything, tell us a little bit about your history in terms of what clans or teams and whatnot that you've been on, and maybe a little bit about why you decided to leave some of those.
Yeah. When I first started playing StarCraft, I think I was a part of. I guess there was no clan system actually when I first started playing StarCraft. There was no clan system when I first started playing StarCraft, but I did like name change to have a tag when they gave one of those. And the first one that I remember was STS, and I joined that with Strikers, who was actually in the Clarity Gaming Academy team. Strikers is a fantastic player, by the way. You should have him on here. And we practiced a bunch, and we played there a bunch, I think, until I was diamond. I might have made it to or to low mid master, but definitely not any farther than that. And that eventually faded away. It tried to merge with another clan, and it didn't end up working out very well. Like, it merged, but like most of the people didn't like the environment. Both me and Striker split from that. I went and joined Z's, which is kind of a social clan from the SA forums, and I was there for a year or so, I think, maybe even more. It was a lot of fun. I got to play with some great people, including Jimmy from Carnage from the EU, Balo, who's, I don't know his team, and Zugs, who's a great Protoss. I got to play with a lot of cool people. And there is when I actually decided, you know what, I actually want to do this, and, you know, maybe not make money or doing anything like that, but I want to participate in this scene and decide, and, you know, invest in this scene and be a part of it and meet these people. These are all really great guys. And I left that, unfortunately. I left Z's because most people quit or went inactive for a time. Just kind of like people do. Like, oh, like it comes in seasons, right? They have free time and then they play Starcraft. And when they don't, because they got finals or they got work or whatever, they kind of fade out. And during a period like that, for like a month or two, I bowed out from Z's. Zugs was probably my closest practice partner. I practiced with him pretty regularly, and he bowed out to play Dota 2. And I think he's doing that on a semi-competitive level right now. And so I looked for clans for a little bit, and the team manager from Z's, Penguin, is a very nice guy, not to be confused with MII Penguin, just Penguin. And he helped me find XT, actually. He acted as a player manager for me. And I got to run some practice games with the XT guys, let Cowman trounce me repeatedly, actually, and kind of get a feel for their environment and the management and stuff like that. And I really liked how professional they were, and how, I mean, they were laid back, but they were like, hey, these are my goals, these are the things that the clan is doing, and here's how we're trying to accomplish them, and listed stuff that they were actually doing. And I thought that was really rad, so I joined up, and here I am.
Awesome. So that kind of does answer my next question about how you got on to extraterrestrials and how you kind of got recruited by them. But, you know, extraterrestrials is a bit of a newer team. They're still trying to get their feet off the ground. What are your kind of thoughts about them right now?
I think XD is a very strong clan. I mean, obviously I'm on it, so I'm not going to have too much bad stuff to say.
It's a terrible team. Why am I on it?
Right. So extraterrestrials has placed... has gone to the grand finals of 2 consecutive UASLs. Unfortunately, we have placed second in 2 consecutive UASLs, and it's not been close matches. Like, the games might have been close, but the match scores were pretty one-sided towards the other guys. And I think, like, holding out all the way through until we actually get the job done, and whether that be, I don't know, like through practice or through like mental stamina and not getting flustered because it's the grand finals and there's more people watching and whatever. There's more on the line. Improving in that way will be really nice for us as a team. But overall, I really like the direction the team is heading. Again, I really love the management and what they do to communicate everything to the players and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Here's how we're trying to go about accomplishing these goals, and just here's a little update on what's going on in XD. Yeah. I really like where we are right now.
Cool. That's actually really good to hear. It's sometimes a little bit frustrating. I know some players kind of not always happy with their current team, but it's great to hear that Extraterrestrials is working out for you. What kind of are you hoping to get out of joining Extraterrestrials in the future?
Definitely a good portion of that was practice, and that's something that I've been able to have, actually, which is nice. Like I said, when I left Z's, my main practice partner had kind of quit for Dota 2. And so I didn't have people to bounce ideas off of and talk to and just chill around in Skype when I should be doing work at work, actually. And Extraterrestrials let me talk to a lot of people and practice with a lot of people. During my the kind of onboarding time for XT, I played a lot with Cowman, who beat me repeatedly. It was not he plays this really obnoxious air toss style that I don't have a good answer to. And I've practiced recently with Bobby Flay, who is a fantastic Terran on our A team. And we've got some, XT is like Team Cheesy Protoss, right? We've got some interesting Protoss guys, like Hasu and Boo and people. They're very aggressive players, and the
Mhm.
aggression can come on one or two base. You just kind of not really sure when. And I've played a couple of games with those guys, but no real dedicated like practice sessions. I think I mainly have
Mhm.
practiced with Bobby Flay and one or two of the Zergs. But really, what I was looking for, in addition to practice, was an environment in which I felt like I could improve, and that includes being not the best player where I am, and with
Mhm.
all the people that I was playing with on Z's Inactive, XT definitely helps me not be the best player on the team. I'm not the best player there, man. Uh, and so that's what I'm joining. I'm joining XT and playing for XT for is the opportunity to improve.
Awesome. That's actually really, really good to hear. Love to hear it when players are actually aspiring to become more, and it's super actually humble to actually be able to state that, hey, you know what, I'm actually joining a team that I'm not the best player on, and I'm doing it so that I can improve. That's great to hear. And you kind of talked a little bit about some of those annoying styles and stuff in the game. So let's actually jump a little bit into the gameplay. And I'm actually really curious. What are your thoughts on the game right now? And let's say Dustin Prouder just decided to fire David Kim tomorrow and said, "Hey, JowJ, I need you to be in charge of balance. So what would you do with each of the matchups, starting with say ZVP?"
If I was hired, I'd probably be pretty tame in my changes. But like if I didn't feel like I would get fired for fucking up, then I would probably take I don't know like I would probably only do this in an open beta. Like if I had Legacy of the Void beta coming out or something,
Mm-hmm.
I would fuck with changes like changing the way that the Protoss. I mean, this is kind of a old hat to anyone who reads any forums about StarCraft,
Yeah.
but I would change the way the Protoss works because I don't like their mechanics currently. But I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
Protoss player, so I don't know that that's really fair. That's just how I feel about it. Um, I don't like how gateway units are super weak and that Protoss are reliant on super gas heavy units in order to do anything. And and I don't like force field and I don't like the mothership core for a bunch of reasons. One of which is I think that the mothership core negates positional play, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is one of the few things that StarCraft 2 really has that you can express yourself as a player in. Because oh no, I'm caught out of position. Just kidding, recall. I think that that's kind of a lame mechanic, and even if it's a needed mechanic right now, and I truly believe that it is, I think that it's not fun to play against because it's like I caught my opponent in the mistake. I'm gonna punish him. He's not there anymore. Okay, fuck it. I would change that. I
Well,
would
shit.
definitely nerf the shit out of Mutalisks because that's actually what my ZVP play revolves around right now.
Hmm.
Is tech switches and Mutalisks as like I'll tech switch around to do Ultralisks into Roach Hydra or whatever if I get to a late game. But Mutalisks are almost like 9 times out of 10, even if it's usually late game even, but 9 times out of 10 I kill a Protoss player using Mutalisks. They're the only way I really feel like I'm comfortable killing a Protoss player, and I don't like that. I think that that feels a little bit lame.
As a
So I would
Protoss player,
adjust.
I can agree with you on that. I hate it too.
Yeah, yeah. So I would adjust that. And I guess do I go on and talk about the other
Yeah,
matchups?
yeah. Just honestly, your thoughts on kind of the balance of the game right now.
All right. Um, for starters, I like the balance. Like statistically, we're in a good spot. I like the variety available in ZVP. There's a
Hmm.
bunch of different builds. Like I actually think this is kind of interesting. TVZ versus PVZ are very different matchups stylistically.
Hmm.
ZVP requires strategic knowledge with heavy emphasis on scouting and correct reactions to what you scout.
Hmm.
And TVZ is way, way less so that I feel like. TVZ is very much, okay, here's this framework. And in this framework, he's going to go 3 CC into
Hmm.
Biomine. And I'm going to go quick 5-hatch Mutiling Bane. And my execution defines if I don't fucking die like a horrible death, then I get in that like 13, 12, 30 push that he does against my fourth. If I can hold that parade push, um, then the game kind of goes on to an even state. And then again, control defines how I do in the matchup. And I feel like it's a lot less about scouting, although that part's still there, obviously, and execution is still there in PvZ. I just think that those differences are interesting in the Zerg matchups.
Yeah. Cool.
And ZV's balanced, but kind of boring.
That's actually fair. Sorry about the lights also, by the way. I had some random people coming in.
Oh,
But
no problem. I
yeah.
can't actually see, by the way. On my screen, it just says XSplit.
Oh, shoot. Okay, well, you'll get to see it in the VOD. Everyone else can see the random people that just, like, come in. My lights turn off. There's, like, this random sound effect going on, but don't worry about it. Anyways, back a little bit about the actual balance of the game. That's actually kind of interesting to hear, but what about your own thoughts on your play in the actual matchup? So your actual own Zerg versus Protoss, your Zerg versus Terran, your Zerg versus Zerg. Where are your strongest matchups? Where are your weakest? And of course, tell everyone your least favorite build to go against, so that if they ever hit you in a tournament, you can be sure to encounter it.
Okay, so my thoughts on my play in each matchup. So it's, I mean, I guess throughout all of them, execution is something that I feel I lack a lot in. Um, so obviously, like surprisingly, ZVT is actually my strongest matchup right now, but I don't feel that way. I feel like the game goes to a lot of silly directions that it doesn't need to go if I execute it better.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll do fine for the first around 11 to 12 minutes of the game. I won't be missing injects. I'll have pretty great creep spread. I'll have burrowed banelings fucking up my opponent's shit. But the problem is when they do that parade push against me at like 12, 30, 13 minutes, even earlier sometimes, I guess, depending on the variation, that that push I usually deal with okay, but the parade style where it's constantly at your kind of your creep front,
Mm-hmm.
I miss my injects a lot after that, and I definitely don't feel like I have the actions to go and spread creep and make another queen when my creep queen died and spread creep some more.
Mm-hmm.
I suffer a lot there. That's also why I feel like I lose most of my ZVZs as my execution is bad. I'll be not looking at my Zergling pack when it's going to go deny a third, and one Baneling fucking kills 38 Zerglings. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding strategically of what to do in ZVZ for the most part. There's some early roach timings against my Mutalisk play. I play Mutalisk opener pretty much in every ZVZ, and some variations of roach openers hurt me a lot more than they should, just because I'm not quite sure how to react to them, and I don't have a plethora of Zerg practice partners to play against. But yeah, I mean, execution is really what I feel is lacking in my play. ZVP is a lot less painful because ZVP is not about necessarily execution overall versus some of the early timings it is. But macro ZVP to me is about tech switching and positional play, preventing Protoss from actually moving out because you have Ling Hydra at his third or at his natural when he tries to poke out. And that's one of the things that I would actually change about ZVP2 is that I don't think Protoss can move out very well because if I'm doing my job right. But you asked another question that I totally forgot.
Oh, I was actually just asking kind of more about what you felt, not just what your strengths and weaknesses were in the matchup, but how you felt about like your own personal play. Like, so I guess more about also what your strengths are, what you feel like you're really good at in each matchup.
Okay. And the other thing that I just forgot was which is my least favorite build. So stuff I'm good at, it would be in ZVT is actually using burrowed banelings and using burrow and creep and spreading overlords. I'm usually pretty good about that, I guess. Obviously I've got off days, but I'm usually pretty good about those things. And I think burrowed banelings in particular are a thing that Zerg players don't use enough. And I guess like at a pro level, it's probably goes through meta shifts where everyone's burrowing banelings and then everybody's scanning, so nobody burrows banelings, and it kind of just goes around. But I really like using burrowed banelings like lurkers, countering when Terran is out on the map, and putting burrowed banelings between me and him, like between his base and him. So when he comes back to defend, and he's going to be stimming and nervous because I'm at his base, burrowed banelings kill 38 supply of Marines, and that's my favorite thing. And I guess like tactics like that, which includes positional play, I'm pretty good at. and that would help me win a lot of ZBZs if I could actually execute better. And then my least favorite builds to play against are definitely Mech into Ravens in fucking TVZ and Sky Toss in ZVP. Those things are fucking boring and atrocities. That's it. That's the end of the list. I hate those things.
That's totally fair, actually. I think also I'm sure it doesn't help that like you don't actually see, for example, Sky Toss as much well, I don't know. Do you actually hit Sky Toss all that much anymore?
A decent amount. There fucking there's a Hendralisk account in GM right now. That's not actually Hendralisk. I think it's Swoozy or something. He plays. I think he's played all three races, and he only plays lame ass fucking styles. And actually, I think he played Idra today. I saw a screenshot of Idra playing a late game ZVP against Skytoss versus a Hendralisk. I think that was him.
Was this the one on Reddit where it was just Idra covering the map in sport colors and vipers?
Yeah, yeah. Because that's what you have to do, right? That game was 45 minutes plus.
I hope David Kim is watching
break
this.
Skytoss. It was really fucking boring. But yeah, so those builds are not my favorite. The good news about the Raven one is that nobody but fucking Avillo really plays that. But if you play Avillo, you know that that's going to happen. So I just like Roachling Bane all in every time.
Good to know. These are good tips for anyone hitting Avillo in the actual tournaments or on the ladder. But awesome. That's actually really cool stuff to hear. But let's kind of shift focus one more time, one of the last time as I promised, and kind of talk a little bit about what you want out of esports. What are you aiming to get at? And what are kind of your aspirations in esports? Are you looking to become a pro player if the opportunity presents itself? Or are you kind of just more in this to have what fun you can and it's always going to be kind of like a side thing?
That's a great question that I haven't really figured out for myself. I don't know that it's ever going to matter if I figure it out because becoming a pro player is like winning the lottery. You have to get really lucky. You have to know a lot of people, and I feel like just trying to be in the right place at the right time. I think if I was offered by like a contract, even if it was a minuscule, like a pittance of a salary, I think I would take it despite the gigantic pay decrease, just to say that, hey, when I, in my early 20s, I did this for a year. It was really cool. I got to travel and do this thing. But the reason that I play StarCraft is because I like the process of improvement, and that's striving for perfection. I think that that's valuable to people like me as a person, and to everyone as a person, as a human being. I feel like that's a valuable thing to do. And if I get to do stuff professionally with it, even if it's for not very much money, that's fucking great. But it's not a requirement at all.
Gotcha. And I mean, who exactly do you usually like work with? Like who are your favorite members to kind of work with on your team or practice partners outside of your team? I'm kind of curious because you mentioned that briefly earlier on. You listed off some of the names like Cowman and a couple others. Could you let us know a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I'm being pretty bad recently, and I'm just laddering a lot, which is not the most useful of practices. I mean, it's nice, but it won't let me practice specific things that I want to do and get better at. So I will practice with, for Terrans, I like to practice with Jimmy from Z's. He is a fantastic player and beats me a lot, actually.
He's a scary Terran, man.
He's a really good Terran, and he goes crazy in the late game. Like, if you actually get to the late game, he just drops in tons of different locations, and it's frustrating to play against if you've transitioned away from Ling Bling Muta. But I like to practice with him because he's very unforgiving, and if I make a mistake, he'll just press on that spot where I made that mistake until until I'm not vulnerable there. And that's really good to practice against. For ZVZ, I don't really have a regular practice partner. Most Zergs don't like playing ZVZ.
Go figure.
That, honestly, ladder is okay for me because what I need practice against is early game timings and then execution, which is just kind of general play the game and continue to get used to it and have muscle memory and things like that. And so ladder ZVZ is usually pretty good to me. I need to practice not dying to fucking cats-esque just make, expand and then just make Zergling timings. Like that's just
Uh-huh.
all execution.
Hmm.
So that kind of thing happens all the time on ladder, so that's okay. Um, and then in ZVP, it kind of alternates. There's a lot of different people that I'll play with. Primal Moon is somebody I practiced with recently from XT.
Hmm.
There's a couple people that I've met on ladder that I would practice with. That's a ZVP. Who did I practice with recently? I forget. But from the team, yeah, like Primal Moon and Bobby Flay, who's Terran, I'll practice with, and I practice with them the most. And then Jimmy from outside the team.
Cool, cool. And actually, on an opposite note, do you consider yourself to have any like rivals, either friendly rivals or people who, if you had a chance, you would have them secretly gutted in like a back room?
Well, I don't have any rivals like that, other than I definitely gut the shit out of Havilo because I hate playing against him. And I don't know if he's a nice guy or not because I don't read that much of TL, but I think he posts there. But I just really fucking hate playing against that style. I would like to not play StarCraft 2 anymore. For friendly rivals, I would definitely say Strikers, who I mentioned earlier.
Hmm.
We kind of started on the same team, and he went and I feel like got way better in a much shorter time span than I did.
Hmm.
He's very good at this game. He's now in Clarity Gaming Academy, and I kind of consider him a rival. I don't think he would consider me a rival because he's a lot better than me. And he's someone who I used to call a practice partner in the past, but honestly, right now he's on a different level, and I need to kind of step it up. And then Jimmy, I would consider a rival because he beats me all the time. And for me and Jimmy, we'll go in phases. Like one of us will stomp the other all the time, and then it kind of rotates and rotates depending on who's been practicing and working the hardest.
Hmm.
And right now it's Jimmy, and it has been for a while.
Well, hopefully you manage to step that back up and kind of start beating him again. But can't blame you too much, man. He's an amazingly good Terran. Um, but awesome, yeah. So I actually just had like one kind of really big final question. That's kind of where do you see yourself in 1 year or 2 years in the sense of StarCraft or even maybe just professionally?
I would like to be. Oh, you're breaking up, man. Oh, I got a robot
Oh,
voice.
oh, sorry. You're still coming across okay for me, so just go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. I would like to be, I think, say, I don't know, in the top 15, top 20 GM North America. I would like to be competing on other regions as well. I'd like to be playing and placing in major tournaments, which is not something I'm doing. I played and placed in early hots in like the MLG tournaments. I won one MLG tournament for credits to enter their real money tournaments. I got to play and beat players like Sasquatch. That was like the only time I've ever beaten Sasquatch in a best of three, and lose to other great players like RSVP.
Hmm.
But that's something I kind of backed away from. Not really on purpose. It's just kind of life has been a lot busier, and I've like added some new roommates, and so I spend more time with my roommates, and I spend more time at my job working and all that kind of stuff. And I would like to get back into that, and obviously continue to get better at this game.
Fair enough. Awesome. Well, I think that with that said, I think we're pretty much going to wrap up the show. But do you have any shout outs that you want to give?
Yeah, to the same people I've been talking about all cast along, actually. Strikers for being awesome and keeping me competitive for a while when I didn't want to be. Jimmy for continuing to practice with me and for being an all-around badass. And actually, like his team Carnage actually just had a re-announcement of them coming out again and coming onto the scene, which is great. Balo, Zugs, who no longer plays StarCraft, but I hope watches this because he was awesome. And he also kept me competitive and got me into chess, actually. And then to XT and everybody in it, thank you guys so much for having me and for helping me get better.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you everyone, and thank you so much, JowJ for. Oh man, I almost said JowJ. That was an old habit, but thank you, JowJ, for giving us that lovely, lovely interview. We're going to be checking out JowJ's games throughout the rest of the week, and then we're going to be tuning back in with JowJ on Saturday for a really, really fun event. And even JowJ does not know what that is actually going to be. Could be karaoke, could be dancing. I could just ask him to do 70 push-ups, and probably never ever recommend anyone to come back on the show again.
I'll do
But
karaoke. Do karaoke. It'll be cool.
well, you don't get to pick
I don't
this,
get
man.
to know.
You
All
don't
right,
get to
we'll
pick
find
it. We'll find out. You'll find out. All right. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm trying to keep it a little bit short. And if you have any feedback whatsoever, please feel free to leave it. I am definitely open to changing the show. This is obviously the first episode and actually the first day of the episode. So tons of places where I'm sure that we can improve the format and everything. But with that being said, thanks again, everyone, and we will see you all tomorrow at 9 p.m. Pacific.